Last week I was at Pennsic as it tottered to an end. On Thursday night, around the stroke of midnight, must have been. Wet and raining, foggy too, we slogged on through the mud, laughing, drinking, telling tales of battles we had won. The woods had been quite soaked this year, the battle had been called off, so some of us sneaked on in there to see what was the fuss. Now they tell tales, don't you know, about Pennsic and its ghosts. Just tales, we said, to scare the noobs and see who scares the most. So midnight hits, the stroke of 12. We're in the woods at night. When all of a sudden the fog descends. Rather unnatural, right? I say descends, but what I mean, it flowed along the ground, just like you see in horror flicks, to cover what ought not be found. It thickened up, and a fair piece off we saw a torch of light, and since our flashlights had all shut off, we figured it was right to stumble towards that light we saw, tripping over the ground. But when we got there, it had moved, a will-o'-wisp to be found. We followed further, and Galen said, "These woods don't go this far. If we keep going, we'll end up bumping up against my car." And just as I began to worry, and people began to fright, we stumbled into a clearing full of people and of light. We walked on in and sat on down, and everybody waved at us, then went back to their drinks, and I thought, good, we're saved. The fire was bright, the air was dry, the company was keen. And then I looked around and saw, and a chill came over the scene. The people there were having fun, the laughter and the glee. But then the words died on my lips as face as I did see. There's Nuala, Cain, and Mirgan too, and Duchess Ariel, Jafar, Jaela, Talia, Kalen, Girth, and Saint Sever. Ragnar, Iane, Gauss, Will Blackfox, Thomas Smith of Air, Finner, Caitlin, Tyrlock, Manfred, Gillian, Clay Shaper. And those are just the ones I saw myself right off the bat. There were lots more there, a society's worth, and they talked and drank and sat. And Cain stood up and ambled over, saying, "How's it going, bud?" And as those words escaped his lips, a chill ran through my blood. I said, "We miss you, all of you," and he nodded back, "We know. But you know us, we don't always get to pick our time to go. But we made it here, to Brigadoon, or Avalon, I guess. We fight and feast and party hard and then clean up the mess and start again and greet the noobs we get from time to time." I nodded and asked, "But what do you do whenever there's a fight? Someone pulls rank, it ends right then, and there's no problem, right?" Kane looked at me and belly laughed, said, "You don't get it, bud. There's nothing here to argue about unless we make it up." I looked around and saw what he showed. A lot of people there, with some in garb and some without, and no one really cared. And some with crowns and some without, all laughing merrily. Because on the other side of the wall, they were all the same, you see. I stayed and drank and sang with them till dawn it touched the sky. And as they faded out, I shouted, "See you next year! Bye!" Too many years have passed that date, and every year I've been back to Pennsic in that same spot and camped and wondered when my time would come and I'd move on to be with all my friends. They don't believe me. Nobody does. But I walk the woods and call till well past midnight for my friends on the other side of the wall.